They laughed at the waitress. Until she touched the piano and commanded the show. Lisa Miller balanced the heavy tray of drinks with practiced ease as she moved between the tables. The grand reception hall of Orbital Station Unity sparkled with the light of 1,000 stars through its curved glass ceiling. Important people from Earth mingled with visitors from 17 alien worlds. This was the biggest diplomatic event of the year, and Lisa was just there to serve drinks and food. Lisa was 28 years old, with brown hair pulled back in a simple bun and a plain black and white uniform that was designed to make her invisible. That was fine with her. Being invisible meant she could do her job without any trouble. The Earth diplomats looked nervous. This meeting could decide if humans would be allowed to join the Galactic Confederation. After only 200 years of space travel, many alien species thought humans were too primitive to deserve membership. "Another drink, Ambassador?" Lisa asked as she approached the table of Vraxian delegates. The Vraxians were tall beings with metallic skin that shimmered under the lights. Ambassador Zholthak looked up at her with 4 golden eyes. "Yes, more of your fermented fruit drink," he said. His voice came through his translator with a slight metallic edge. As Lisa carefully placed the glass on the table, the ambassador turned to his companions. He didn't bother to lower his translator volume. "Look at this quaint manual labor," Zholthak said. "Most civilized worlds automated such tasks centuries ago." His entourage made clicking sounds that Lisa recognized as Vraxian laughter. She kept her face blank even as her cheeks grew hot with embarrassment. "These humans," the ambassador continued, "barely 2 centuries of spaceflight and they think they belong at the Confederation table. Their arts are simplistic, their technology borrowed, their culture unremarkable." Lisa moved away quickly. She had been told that the Vraxians were one of the oldest species in the Confederation and among the most difficult to impress. Their support would be crucial for Earth's membership bid. Near the buffet table, Lisa overheard Station Director Frank Collins speaking urgently with his assistant. "What do you mean the Centauri performer canceled?" Collins whispered harshly. "We need the cultural showcase. It's the centerpiece of the reception." His assistant looked pale. "Atmospheric incompatibility, sir. The methane levels in our air mix are too low for his vocal membranes. He can't perform." "Find a replacement, now." Collins ran a hand through his thinning hair. "We can't have an entertainment gap. The Vraxians and Krell will see it as proof of our cultural poverty." Lisa worked quietly, collecting empty glasses as the Earth diplomats grew more anxious. The giant reception hall had fallen into awkward conversation clusters. The scheduled time for the cultural display had arrived, but the stage area remained empty. In the corner of the room stood a grand piano. It had been brought to the station at enormous expense as a cultural exhibit, a perfect example of traditional Earth craftsmanship. It gleamed under the lights, its black surface reflecting the stars outside. Director Collins was now moving frantically between groups of station staff, asking urgent questions. When he approached Lisa's supervisor, she couldn't help overhearing. "Anyone on the service staff with performance abilities? Music? Dance? Poetry? Anything?" Collins pleaded. Lisa's supervisor shook her head but then paused. "Wait. Miller was some kind of musician before joining space service. I remember something in her file." Lisa froze as Collins turned to her with desperate hope in his eyes. "Miller, didn't you study at Juilliard before joining us?" Lisa clutched her tray tighter. "Sir, that was 3 years ago. I haven't performed since—" "What instrument?" Collins interrupted. "Piano, but I really don't think—" "Thank God." Collins practically sagged with relief. "We need something, anything." Lisa shook her head. "Sir, I can't. There are reasons I stopped performing. I haven't played in front of people since the accident." But Collins wasn't listening. He was already guiding her toward the piano, taking the tray from her hands. "Just give us 15 minutes. Play anything. We just need to fill the cultural exchange slot." The assembled diplomats watched with mild curiosity as Lisa was led to the piano. The Vraxian ambassador snorted and whispered something that made his companions click with laughter again. Now they used their food servers as entertainers, one of them said loudly enough for the translator to pick up. How desperate. Lisa sat down at the piano bench, her waitress uniform looking out of place against the polished ebony. Her hands trembled slightly as she positioned them over the keys. The accident that damaged the nerves in her left hand had ended her concert career dreams. She had taught herself to play again during recovery, but never for an audience. She began with the simplest piece she could think of, Debussy's Clair de Lune. Her fingers found the familiar pattern, and the gentle notes floated through the reception hall. The room quieted, more out of politeness than interest. As she played, Lisa's nervousness began to fade. The familiar embrace of music wrapped around her, and she forgot about the important aliens watching. Her left hand, once damaged, now moved with renewed confidence. The Durrani delegation, beings that looked like floating collections of translucent organs, drifted closer to the piano. Their bodies pulsed gently with the rhythm of her playing. The stoic Krell representatives, tall, insect-like beings known for their emotional reserve, tilted their antenna toward the sound. When she finished the Debussy piece, there was a moment of silence. Then, to her surprise, the strange collection of alien visitors made various sounds and gestures that her limited diplomatic training recognized as approval. With growing confidence, Lisa began a more complex piece, Chopin's Fantaisie Impromptu. Her fingers moved faster now, creating cascades of notes that filled the hall. The Vraxian ambassador sat up straighter, his golden eyes fixed on her hands. As a species with enhanced hearing, the Vraxians were experiencing something unexpected in the mathematical precision of her playing, combined with the emotional expression humans could create. How is she making such complex sound patterns with just 10 digits? One of the Vraxian aides asked. Ambassador Zholthak didn't answer. He was leaning forward now, his metallic face reflecting the station lights as he watched Lisa's fingers dance across the keys. Lisa lost herself in the music, unaware that she was bridging a cultural gap centuries wide. Her simple black and white uniform no longer made her invisible. Now everyone in the hall could see only her. The waitress they had laughed at was commanding the show. They laughed at the waitress until she touched the piano and commanded the show. The final notes of Chopin's piece hung in the air. Lisa took a deep breath and looked up. She was surprised to see the entire reception hall watching her with intense focus. Even the Earth diplomats looked shocked. Lisa had planned to stop after one or two songs, but something inside her pushed her to continue. She hadn't felt this alive in years, not since before the accident that damaged the nerves in her left hand. The doctors had told her she would never play professionally again. That news had crushed her spirit and sent her running from music altogether. But now, sitting at this grand piano surrounded by beings from across the galaxy, Lisa felt a strange new confidence. She began to play again, this time choosing Bach's Goldberg variations. The complex mathematical structure of Bach seemed to especially capture the attention of the logical alien species. The Krell representatives, who looked like tall mantis beings, moved closer to the piano. Their multifaceted eyes reflected the overhead lights as they watched her fingers dance across the keys. Lisa noticed that when she played faster runs of notes, their antennae vibrated in response. Director Collins stood off to the side, his face a mixture of relief and amazement. The entertainment gap was more than filled. In fact, the aliens seemed more engaged with Lisa's playing than they had been with any other part of the reception. As she continued to play, Lisa felt something strange happening. The colors and patterns she had always seen when she played music, her private secret, seemed stronger than ever. Lisa had synesthesia, a condition where one sense triggers another. When she played music, she saw colors and shapes. She had never told anyone because she feared they would think she was strange. Without thinking, Lisa began to play a piece of her own creation. It was something she had composed during her recovery, a piece that followed the colors and patterns in her mind rather than traditional musical rules. The melody flowed and twisted like a living thing, creating mathematical sequences that weren't typical in Earth music. The reaction from the aliens was immediate. The Durrani delegates, Floating beings that looked like collections of transparent organs, pulsed with bright colors that matched the patterns Lisa saw in her mind. The stoic Krell made a sound, like rustling leaves that the human diplomats recognized as a sign of deep interest. Most surprising was the reaction of the Vraxians. Ambassador Julthak had risen from his seat and moved to stand near the piano. His metallic face showed an expression that didn't translate well to human understanding, but his 4 eyes never left Lisa's hands. When Lisa finished her improvised piece, a strange sound filled the reception hall. It took her a moment to realize it was applause, not just from the humans but from the aliens as well. Each species expressed appreciation in their own way. The rumbling foot-stomping of the Krell, the bioluminescent flashing of the jellyfish-like Eloi, and the harmonic humming of the Vraxians. Ambassador Julthak approached the piano. Lisa tensed, unsure what to expect from the formerly dismissive alien. "Human musician," he said through his translator, "your sound patterns contain mathematical sequences that match ancient Vraxian ritual harmonies. How did you create this?" Lisa wasn't sure how to answer. I see music as colors and patterns. I just played what I saw in my mind." The ambassador's golden eyes widened. "You experience sound as visual stimulus? This is known among Vraxians but extremely rare. We call such beings bridge minds." A woman in a formal Earth diplomatic uniform quickly joined them. "I'm Dr. Susan Gray, Earth's xenomusicologist," she said to Lisa. "What you just did? It's extraordinary. The mathematical structures in your improvisation satisfy the logical species, while the emotional elements connect with the more empathic ones. You've accidentally created what we've been trying to engineer for decades, a universal artistic language." Lisa looked confused. "I was just playing what felt right." Ambassador Julthak turned to Dr. Gray. "Your species possesses bridge minds and yet you use them as drink servers? Perhaps humans are even more puzzling than we thought." Dr. Gray looked embarrassed. "We didn't know about Lisa's unique abilities." The Vraxian made a clicking sound. "In our culture, bridge minds are treasured. They create art that speaks across biological boundaries." He looked at Lisa with new respect. "We have existed for millennia believing that art was merely a biological evolutionary curiosity. Now I wonder if it might be a universal constant we've been missing." Director Collins appeared at Lisa's side, beaming with barely contained excitement. "Ambassador Julthak, would you and your delegation appreciate hearing more of Ms. Miller's playing?" "Indeed," the Vraxian replied. "But first I wish to share something with the human bridge mind." From a hidden pocket in his formal robes, the ambassador produced a small device. He placed it on the piano. It projected a 3-dimensional pattern of light above the keys, swirling and changing in complex ways. "These are traditional Vraxian harmonic patterns," he explained. "They date back 10,000 Earth years. They are considered our highest cultural achievement." Lisa stared at the patterns in wonder. They were almost exactly like the colors and shapes she saw when she played her improvised piece. "I can play this," she whispered. The ambassador's metallic skin rippled in what might have been surprise. No non-Vraxian has ever interpreted the sacred harmonies correctly. Lisa placed her hands on the keys and began to play, following the swirling patterns of light. The music that emerged was unlike anything the humans had heard before, yet it felt strangely familiar, touching something deep and universal. The Vraxian delegates made sounds of astonishment. Ambassador Julthak stood perfectly still, all 4 eyes fixed on Lisa's hands. When she finished playing, the ambassador turned to the Earth's chief diplomat. "We must discuss your planet's application to the Confederation immediately. This changes many things." Lisa looked around in confusion as excitement spread among the Earth delegation. She didn't understand the political implications of what had just happened. She had simply played the music she saw in her mind. Dr. Gray leaned close to Lisa and whispered, "You just did more for human-alien relations in 10 minutes than our diplomats have managed in 10 years." The waitress who had been laughed at was now being looked at with new eyes by some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And it was all because she had touched a piano and played what she felt. Lisa's simple black and white uniform no longer made her invisible. Now she was the brightest star in the room. They laughed at the waitress until she touched the piano and commanded the show. The next morning, Lisa woke up in her small station quarters feeling like she had dreamed the whole thing, but the message on her communication pad proved it had been real. She was requested to attend a special meeting with Earth's diplomatic team at 0900 hours. Lisa dressed in her regular uniform, unsure of what else to wear. As she walked through the station corridors, people looked at her differently. Some smiled and nodded. Others whispered to each other as she passed. Word had spread quickly about what happened at the reception. When she arrived at the diplomatic offices, Director Collins greeted her with a big smile. There she is, the woman who saved Earth's application to the Confederation. Lisa blushed. I just played the piano, sir. Just played the piano? Collins laughed. Miller, do you have any idea what you did last night? The Vraxians have invited you to perform on their homeworld. The Krell want to study your sound mathematics. 3 other species have submitted formal requests for cultural exchange programs focused on human music. He led her into a conference room where several important-looking people sat around a table. Dr. Susan Gray was there, along with Earth's chief diplomat to the Confederation, a serious man named William Carter. Ms. Miller, Carter said, standing, to greet her. Please sit down. We have much to discuss. Lisa sat nervously at the large table. First, Carter continued, I want to thank you. Your performance last night has created unprecedented interest in human culture among the Confederation species. Dr. Gray jumped in excitedly. Lisa, the way you interpreted the Vraxian harmonic patterns was remarkable. No human has ever been able to do that before. We've been studying them for decades without understanding their significance. I just played what I saw, Lisa said simply. That's the key, Dr. Gray explained. Your synesthesia allows you to perceive mathematical structures in music that most humans can't detect. To you, they're visual patterns. To the Vraxians and other logical species, they're foundational cultural expressions. Director Collins cleared his throat. We'd like to offer you a new position, Miller. Earth needs an artistic ambassador to the Galactic Confederation. Lisa's eyes widened. Me? But I'm just a waitress. Not anymore, Carter said firmly. You have a gift that may be the key to human acceptance in the Confederation. We need you to use it. Before Lisa could respond, the door opened and Ambassador Julthak entered the room. Everyone stood immediately. The Vraxian's metallic skin gleamed under the lights as he moved to the table. Ambassador, Carter said with a respectful nod. Thank you for joining us. The Vraxian's 4 golden eyes focused on Lisa. I wish to speak with the bridge mind directly. Lisa felt small under his gaze. Hello, Ambassador. Human bridge mind, Julthak said through his translator. The sound patterns you created have been analyzed by our cultural experts. They contain structures that align with our most sacred traditions, yet they also possess uniquely human elements. This combination is unprecedented. Dr. Gray looked excited. Ambassador, we're hoping Lisa will agree to become Earth's artistic ambassador to the Confederation. A wise decision, the Vraxian said. In our history, bridge minds have often served as connectors between different worlds. The ambassador placed another device on the table, larger than the one from the previous night. It projected a complex, swirling pattern above the table. This is a star map of Vraxian territory, he explained. And this, he adjusted the device and the pattern changed, is the primary harmonic structure you played last night. Everyone at the table gasped as they saw the patterns side by side. They were nearly identical. For 10,000 years, our composers have tried to create sound that matches the pattern of our home stars, Julthak said. You achieved it without ever seeing our star map. This suggests a universal principle connecting music, mathematics, and spatial reality. Lisa stared at the patterns in wonder. They look the same to me as the colors I see when I play. Indeed, the ambassador said. which is why the Vraxian High Council has voted unanimously to support Earth's application to the Confederation. We believe humans possess unique insights that may benefit all species. Carter looked stunned. Ambassador, that's extraordinary. The Vraxians have been among the most hesitant about our membership. We were wrong, Julthak said simply. The universe speaks in patterns. Your bridge mind hears them. We would be foolish to ignore this. The meeting continued for another hour, with plans being made for Lisa's new role. She would need training in diplomacy and interspecies communication. She would travel to different worlds, playing Earth music and interpreting alien compositions. The grand piano would be permanently installed on the station as a cultural centerpiece. When the meeting ended, Lisa found herself walking beside Ambassador Julthak toward the station's observation deck. I still don't understand why my music matters so much, Lisa admitted. The Vraxian was quiet for a moment, his metallic face unreadable. May I tell you a story from Vraxian history? Lisa nodded. Long ago, when we first began to explore space, we encountered another species. They were very different from us, emotional, unpredictable. We saw no value in their culture, their art, their music. We dismissed them as primitive. The ambassador's voice grew softer. They are gone now. Their world lies empty. We never tried to understand them. They reached the observation deck and looked out at the stars and the blue curve of Earth below. For thousands of years, the Confederation has valued technology, science, and logical progress above all else. Julthak continued. We thought emotions and art were evolutionary leftovers, useful only within individual species. The ambassador turned his 4 golden eyes to Lisa. But what if we were wrong? What if art is not a biological curiosity, but a window into the deeper structures of reality? What if emotions are not primitive but another form of intelligence we have ignored? Lisa had never thought of her music that way. So my playing showed you something new? It showed us something ancient that we had forgotten, the Vraxian said. It showed us that connection is possible across biological differences. It showed us that humans, despite their brief time among the stars, have something valuable to teach. As they stood looking at the stars, Lisa thought about how her life had changed in just one day. Yesterday, she had been a waitress that aliens laughed at. Today, she was being asked to represent humanity to the galaxy, all because she had touched a piano and played what she felt. They laughed at the waitress until she touched the piano and commanded the show. 3 months passed quickly. Lisa's life had changed completely since that night at the piano. She no longer served drinks or carried trays. Instead, she spent her days learning about alien cultures and practicing music from across the galaxy. Today was important. Lisa sat in her new quarters, much larger than her old room, looking at her reflection in the mirror. She wore a formal blue uniform with a small Earth emblem. In 1 hour, she would give her first official performance as Earth's artistic ambassador. You can do this, she told herself, trying to calm her nerves. The accident that had damaged her hand 3 years ago still haunted her. What if she failed? What if she disappointed everyone? A soft chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. Come in, Lisa called. Dr. Susan Gray entered, smiling broadly. The xenomusicologist had become Lisa's teacher and friend over the past months. Ready for the big day? Dr. Gray asked. Lisa nodded, though she didn't feel ready at all. Will there really be representatives from 30 species watching? 32, actually, Dr. Gray corrected. News of your abilities has spread throughout the Confederation. Many of them have traveled for weeks just to hear you play. Lisa took a deep breath. What if I can't do it again? What if what happened that night was just luck? Dr. Gray sat beside her. Lisa, what you have isn't luck. It's a gift. Your synesthesia allows you to perceive patterns that connect all intelligent life. That's why your music reaches across species barriers. She handed Lisa a small device. The science team made this for you. It will project the colors and patterns you see when you play, so everyone can experience your perspective. Lisa took the device carefully. Do you really think this will help? I do, Dr. Gray said. And remember, You're not just playing for Earth now. You're playing for understanding between all species. When they arrived at the station's main hall, Lisa was shocked by the transformation. The room that had once hosted diplomatic receptions was now set up like a concert hall. The grand piano stood at the center on a raised platform. Seats arranged in concentric circles surrounded it, filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some aliens floated in bubbles of special atmosphere. Others sat on specially designed chairs to accommodate their unique bodies. In the front row, Lisa saw Ambassador Zholthak with a delegation of Vraxians. They nodded respectfully as she entered. Director Collins met her at the side entrance. "Quite a crowd, Miller. No pressure, but the future of Earth might depend on how well you play today." He laughed nervously. Lisa didn't find it funny. She peeked through the curtains again and saw William Carter, Earth's chief diplomat, speaking to the assembled aliens. "Honored to present Lisa Miller, who will demonstrate the unique human art form of piano music, as well as her interpretations of several Confederation musical traditions." The crowd made various sounds of approval as Lisa walked to the piano. Her legs felt weak. The room seemed much larger now that she was the center of attention. She placed the projection device on the piano, then sat down and positioned her hands over the keys. For a moment, she froze. The weight of expectation felt crushing. Then she remembered what Ambassador Zholthak had told her about the species that was now gone, whose art and culture had never been understood. Lisa took a deep breath and began to play. She started with a piece by Bach, letting her fingers find the familiar patterns. As she played, she activated the projection device. Above the piano, colors and shapes appeared, swirling and changing. With the music, the world as Lisa saw it. A collective sound of wonder came from the audience. To them, this was a new way of experiencing music, seeing the mathematical structures and patterns that Lisa perceived naturally. Lisa moved from Bach to Chopin, then to her own compositions. The colors above the piano grew more complex, forming patterns that seemed to resonate with different species in the audience. The Krell leaned forward, their antennae vibrating. The Durrani pulsed with matching colors. Then Lisa did something she had been practicing for weeks. She began to play a composition created by a Krell musician, but interpreted through her human perspective. The insect-like Krell made a sound like rustling leaves, their version of applause, as they recognized their own music transformed. Next came a Durrani harmonic sequence, then an Eloy resonance pattern. Each alien group responded as they heard their music played in a new way that somehow preserved its essence while adding something distinctly human. Finally, Lisa turned to Ambassador Zholthak and nodded. It was time for the piece they had worked on together. The ambassador activated a device that projected the Vraxian star map above the hall. Lisa began to play the sacred Vraxian harmonic patterns, but this time with variations she had composed. As she played, something extraordinary happened. The colors from her projection device began to merge with the star map, creating a new pattern more complex and beautiful than either alone. The Vraxians made a harmonic humming sound that filled the hall. Lisa lost herself in the music, forgetting her nervousness, forgetting the accident that had nearly ended her career, forgetting everything except the patterns and colors flowing through her mind and out through her fingers. When the final notes faded, there was a moment of complete silence. Then the hall erupted in alien sounds of appreciation. Clicks, hums, flashes of light, stomping appendages. Ambassador Zholthak approached the piano. "Human bridge mind," he said, his voice amplified for all to hear. "You have created a new thing. Not human music, not Vraxian harmonics. Something that belongs to both and to neither. Something new in the galaxy." The ambassador turned to address the entire hall. For too long, the Confederation has seen art as a curiosity, a biological quirk of each species. Today, we have witnessed its true power to create understanding across the vast differences between us. William Carter stepped forward, his face beaming with pride. "On behalf of Earth, I thank you all for witnessing this historic cultural exchange." As the diplomat spoke, Lisa sat quietly at the piano, amazed by what had happened. She had touched, the piano keys, and somehow helped bridge the gap between worlds. Later, as aliens from across the galaxy lined up to speak with her, Lisa thought about how strange life could be. 3 months ago, these same beings had laughed at her as she served them drinks. Now they competed for her attention, asking questions about human music and offering to share their own cultural traditions. The waitress they had laughed at had, indeed, commanded the show, and now it seemed she might help command humanity's place among the stars. They laughed at the waitress until she touched the piano and commanded the show. 1 year had passed since Lisa Miller first sat down at the piano during that diplomatic reception. Today she stood at the large observation window on Orbital Station Unity, watching as the special ship arrived. It was the day that would change everything for humanity. The gleaming vessel belonged to the Confederation Council. It carried representatives who would officially announce their decision about Earth's application. After decades of hoping and years of negotiations, humanity would finally learn if they had a place among the stars. Lisa felt a mix of pride and nervousness as she smoothed down her formal ambassador uniform. In the past year, she had visited 7 alien worlds, performed for leaders of 23 species, and helped create new forms of music that crossed the boundaries between different kinds of minds. Her life had changed in ways she could never have imagined. "Nervous?" asked William Carter, Earth's chief diplomat, as he joined her at the window. Lisa nodded. "Do you think they'll accept us?" Carter smiled. "Thanks to you, we have the strongest application of any new species in the past century, but the Council can be unpredictable." Director Collins rushed up to them, checking the time on his communication device. "They're docking now. We should go to the reception hall." The grand hall where Lisa had once served drinks was now officially named the Harmony Chamber. The piano still stood at its center, but the room had been redesigned with special acoustic features that allowed beings with different hearing abilities to all experience sound clearly. As Earth's leaders gathered nervously, Lisa noticed a familiar, metallic figure entering the hall. Ambassador Jolthak had become a friend and mentor during the past year. The Vraxian approached her with what Lisa now recognized as a gesture of respect. "Human bridge mind," he greeted her. "Today is significant for your species. Will you be joining the Council for the announcement?" Lisa asked. The ambassador's 4 golden eyes blinked in sequence. "I cannot say more, but you will understand soon." Before Lisa could ask what he meant, a tone sounded, announcing the arrival of the Confederation Council. Everyone stood straight as 5 figures entered the hall. Each represented one of the founding species of the Confederation. They wore identical silver robes that covered their very different bodies. The council members took their positions at the front of the hall. The central figure, a tall being with features that reminded Lisa of an Earth octopus, spoke first. "People of Earth," the council speaker said through a translator, "we have reviewed your application for membership in the Galactic Confederation. We have studied your technology, your sciences, your social structures, and your arts." Lisa held her breath. Next to her, she could feel the tension radiating from Carter and Collins. "For most species," the speaker continued, "this process takes centuries. Your case has been unusual." Lisa felt her heart sink. Unusual could mean bad news. Traditionally, new members must demonstrate advanced technology, stable social systems, and valuable resources. Earth meets the minimum requirements in these areas, but not exceptionally so. The Earth delegation looked worried now. Lisa glanced at Ambassador Jolthak, but his metallic face was unreadable. "However," the council speaker said, "in the past year, Earth has demonstrated something unexpected. Through your Artistic Ambassador program, you have revealed a unique contribution to galactic civilization. You have shown that art is not merely a cultural curiosity, but a fundamental method of communication across biological differences." The speaker gestured toward Lisa. "The human ability to create and interpret patterns through music has opened new avenues of understanding between species that have been separate for millennia." Another council member stepped forward. "The Krell hive mind has reported a 30% increase in comprehension of emotional species needs after experiencing human music patterns." A third council member added, The Durrani Collective has incorporated human harmonic structures into their communication systems, resulting in improved relations with 15 previously difficult trading partners. The octopus-like speaker raised all 4 of its visible arms. Therefore, by unanimous decision, the Confederation Council grants Earth full membership status, effective immediately. The Earth delegation erupted in cheers and applause. Collins hugged Carter. Several diplomats were crying with joy. Lisa stood in shock, unable to believe what she was hearing. Further, the speaker continued when the noise died down, the Council has voted to create a new position within the Confederation leadership, artistic liaison to the Council. We ask that Lisa Miller, Earth's bridge mind, accept this position. Now all eyes turned to Lisa. She felt her face grow hot with embarrassment and surprise. I would be honored, she managed to say. The ceremony continued with official documents being signed and speeches being made. Through it all, Lisa felt like she was dreaming. 1 year ago, she had been a waitress with a failed music career and damaged nerves in her left hand. Now she was being asked to help guide relations between hundreds of species across the galaxy. When the formal proceedings ended, Ambassador Zulthak approached her again. "Now I can tell you," he said with what Lisa had learned was a Vraxian smile. "I have been appointed to the Council. We will work together in the years ahead." Lisa smiled back. "I never thought music would matter so much." "That is the great lesson your species has taught us," the Vraxian said. "That which seems small can change worlds. A waitress can change the course of galactic politics. A simple mechanical device with strings can bridge minds separated by billions of years of evolution." Later that evening, after all the celebrations, Lisa returned to the Harmony Chamber alone. The lights were dim and the stars were visible through the curved ceiling. She sat at the piano that had changed her life and played softly, just for herself. As her fingers danced across the keys, she thought about how far she had come. The accident that had damaged her hand and ended her concert career had seemed like the end of her dreams, but it had sent her on a path that led to the stars. The patterns and colors swirled in her mind as she played, more vivid now after a year of practice and exploration. She no longer needed the projection device for others to see what she saw. Beings across the galaxy were learning to perceive music in new ways because of her. Lisa smiled as she played the final notes of her simple melody. The waitress they had laughed at had indeed commanded the show. And now she would help command humanity's future among the stars. As she closed the piano lid, Lisa thought that sometimes the universe had a strange sense of humor. Sometimes it took broken dreams to build new ones. And sometimes the most unlikely person could change everything. All it had taken was the courage to touch the piano keys and play.